That's
Yeah.
all we have to realize. We're actually surrounded by light,
Mm,
but we
mm,
feel as if we're in the dark.
mm,
So all we have to do is realize that 95% of all the mass of the universe is love energy.
mm,
It's when it's not dark matter, it's love matter. When it's
mm,
not dark energy, it's love energy.
mm.
So it's easy. Why focus on the fear of the 5% when you've got 95% of love to tap into, an infinite source of unconditional love, you know?
Yeah.
So I got a song, I am love, you are love, we are love, you know, because like Osho said, you reach a state where you become love. It's not like you're in love, but you are love, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So my advice would be, yeah, listen to your intuition. Don't be scared. Realize it's just a movie and tap into the infinite source of unconditional love of the universe.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Unprogrammed podcast, where we talk about life beyond the script with ordinary people who are awakening to the truth of reality. I've been on the path of awakening for many years, and I'm just starting to talk to people on this podcast to contribute to the normalization of both spiritual awakening and awakening to the systems of the world. So we've withstood unbelievable pressure and countless psyops, and many have compared our experiences having this perspective in the world as being a bit like military grade training in terms of intensity. So my name's Jenny Luscombe, and please welcome my lovely friend Litmus. I'm just going to introduce him um, in this way that I found, which he didn't write, but his nephew did. So this is Paul of the family Haley, Litmus of House Freeman, defender of the one true consciousness, Lord paramount of inner being, initiate of nature's bounty, and breaker of Gregorian chains. So I thought that was like a nice way to start, although Litmus would never say that about himself.
No, no.
Hello and welcome.
Hello. Thank you for inviting me. I'm very happy to be here. And it's lovely
Uh,
to see your face, put a face to the name, you know,
yeah,
and the voice.
so Litmus is my holistic radio colleague. So we both have a show on the radio. So we're used to being in each other's energy and with each other, but not visually. So it's kind of quite an interesting experience. But it's lovely to have you here on this beautiful day. Um, would you like to say anything to start, or shall I just kick off with the first question?
I'd love you to kick off with the first question. All I will just re-emphasize is obviously I would never write anything like you just read out about myself. Um, I would be embarrassed, you know, but because my nephew wrote it and sent it to me, I thought, oh, make a nice little intro. Because it's a bit of fun, you know. I think we can all take everything way too seriously sometimes. And that's what the Matrix wants us to do, you know, take it all heavy and serious and get bogged down and, you know, miserable energy. So I just laugh in the face of the Matrix, you
Yeah, good,
know.
good. Good advice, good advice, and we all get a bit trapped with that. Right. So the first thing that I'm going to kick off with, what does it mean to awaken from your perspective? Because I find it a very difficult thing to transmit to other people that are not having that experience, like what that means.
Yeah, I guess very succinctly, it means self-realization, um, knowing thyself, I guess. Um, you know, my friend Prajna reminds us at the moment that the only spiritual advice his teacher in India ever gave him was know thyself, you know.
Mm.
And he didn't get him to read the Vedas or anything, you know, he just said know thyself. And you figure it out, you know, and it's really about having the courage to really listen to your inner voice Um, and I found through my process, which I can probably trace back to, I'm thinking of a moment. I was with my dog on my bike. I was probably about 12 and it was a school holiday. And I went, actually, my school was quite near my house. And it was a great place to take my dog Bruce and just run around the sports fields, when there's no one there, when it's shut, because we knew a hole in the fence that we could get in through. Um, and I just remember this time there, I slipped on the pedal and I landed on my crossbar of my bike, on my ghoulies, shall we say.
Ooh.
Right. So yeah, it was very painful, but no pain, no gain. And it was weird because in that moment of pain, it was almost like something was protecting me from the pain. And it's almost like I kind of went out of my body back to somewhere else. And I had this impression of kind of being my essence being somewhere else and watching my body writhing in pain kind of thing, but not really feeling it so much. And I and I'd had that sensation quite a few times through childhood, but as you ask me right now, that's the one that comes floating to the surface. And I guess it was about I'd always felt like I was like an alien, like I was actually somewhere else, and this was like a vessel I was looking through, like an avatar now we'd say, having seen the movies.
Mm.
But we didn't know that then. But yeah, I just always felt like I was actually somewhere else, and I was just observing. So I think a big part of awakening is observing, actually stepping back and actually observing what's going on, that with you as part of it, whatever you is. And just like being curious. I mean, we both have a lot of planets in Gemini, right, Jen? So
Mm.
I call you Gemini Jen. So that gives us a boundless curiosity, right? We're always looking for the answer, and it doesn't matter if there is ultimately an answer. There's just the fun on the way. The journey to looking for answers is where you discover what life's all about.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess awakening is really looking inside for me. And later in life, I started writing songs about that whole process, and I probably got a song for each part of the journey.
Mm.
But initially, it's just, yeah, having the courage to trust your inner voice instead of listening to all the bullshit going on around you.
Yeah, which is quite hard. It's quite hard to do. But I
It
like,
can be hard because we're in the matrix. We're born into the matrix. Well, we're born into the matrix, as I call it.
yeah,
And we get registered into the matrix by our parents, without our consent. And then we have to spend the rest of our life like trying to get out of it again.
yeah,
Once,
yeah,
if we realize we're in it, the first thing is realizing you're in the matrix. So
yeah, yeah. That's it. Yeah, there's a lot of that, having realizing what you're in, and I think it's the same with emotion, isn't it? Like a lot of people suppress their emotions, but once you allow it to be there, then you actually get somewhere. It's the same as when someone has to stand up and say, "My name's Bob and I'm an alcoholic." Like you have to see the thing. You have to see the thing in order to do anything about it. But I like what you said there because it just makes sense to me, the know thyself thing. Like, and I think a lot of people that I know are a bit triggered by the term awakening because they connect it with God, and then God is in their life, it's a triggering concept, like it is to me. So I like that spirituality doesn't necessarily have to be about God, and that's a hard thing to explain sometimes to people as well. Um, but yeah,
yeah,
that's brilliant. Um,
because again, we're conditioned by the matrix to fear everything, right? The main strategy of the matrix is fear, you know, through, order out of chaos and divide and conquer through fear, basically. If I wanted to sum the matrix up, that's what I say, those three lines.
yeah,
Um, and it uses fear to try and stop you looking inside and connecting to the source of everything within you, which is once you know it's there, it's kind of relatively easy after a bit of practice to connect very quickly with that. You can do the tip of the tongue thing, or whatever the little trigger is you want to get in there
mm,
quickly.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, but the Matrix tries to keep us all distracted and worried with all these psyops and things, and as you said, and all the hubble bubbles, hubble blue of the everyday life, And they think they tell us that that is the world and that is life, and of course it's not at all.
Yeah. 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 And it is just trying to get back. You're just trying to get back all the time, trying to get back. And it is kind of a skill, but a lot of seeking has to kind of come first, doesn't it? It's kind of frustrating. But so so in terms of like everything going on, what is happening? What, in from your perspective, what is happening in the world right now?
So from my perspective, I follow the Yuga cycle, um, which comes to us from sort of ancient India through the Indus Valley and through the Greek culture after that, in terms of metals. But basically, it's the 24,000 year cycle of precession of the equinoxes in astronomical speak, if you like, for the sciencey left brain people.
Mhm.
But it's actually a cycle of consciousness raising and falling. If we look at the essence of the script from the source in India way back, or rather, as Jaggi always reminds us, we should call it the subcontinent because it wasn't always called India and there were lots of different parts to it. But basically, that ancient culture that goes way back into what we call the Golden Age, you know, I came across that on my journey through a series of synchronicities, Celestine prophecy kind of stuff. And it just something inside me said, this is it, for you, whatever the truth is for you, this is going to work, right? So I just I was fascinated by this concept, so I studied it and it became what I called my precession obsession.
Mhm.
And actually the year number in my universal celestial synchronometer, as I'm now calling it, to help us keep in sync with nature's cycles, that year number follows that Yuga cycle. So when you ask me what's going on right now, I would say, we're 126 years fully out of Kali Yuga, which is the bottom of the cycle of consciousness. If this is the golden age at the top, we've got all the way down to the bottom of Kali Yuga. That was 500 AD Gregorian, and we still call that the Dark Ages,
Mhm.
because it was in this cycle. And then we've come up from the bottom 1,527 years now,
Mhm.
but only 127 years fully out of Kali Yuga, the bottom of the cycle. The age of ignorance is known as the age of gross materialism, where man's dharma only has only raised to 25% of his full potential. And so it's very base. We don't live to our full potential. We don't use all of our brain potential. We don't use all of our DNA potential. We're only a quarter developed sort of thing. But we're now in what they call Dwapara Yuga, which means the second age. And the Greeks call that the Bronze Age. But we're now ascending up from the bottom back towards the top again. So
Mhm.
we are raising in consciousness, which is why, for me, more and more of us every day waking up or whatever you want to call it. And we can talk more about what you said about triggering there and God, and I'd love to talk more about that, um, because that's part of the psyop for me.
Mhm.
The new age bullshit and stuff, everything all chucked in there, to confuse everyone. Because, of course, confusion leads to apathy. So, yeah, so for me, basically, we're 12.5%, if you want to put a number on it. We're 12.5% up from the bottom of consciousness. So we're about 12.5% of us enlightened, if you want to put a number on it.
Yeah.
And so it's still quite hard because of the energy we're in collectively. It's still quite hard for us individually to break out of that and become self-realized, realize that we are conscious awareness and we are the self, the one self experiencing itself subjectively through different aspects of creation, right? So but once you realize that and you see where you are and it puts it all in context, for me, that just brings me immense peace and calm, and stillness and tranquilo, as we say, here. Um, calma, calma, tranquil, tranquil. So yeah, I think that's where we are. So there's still lots of nasty shit going on, which is what I call the hangover. It's like Kali Yuga. And if you want to know, so Kali Yuga in full goes from 900 BCE to 1900 BC, CE, okay, in the Gregorian numbering system. So, 2,600 years altogether of Kali Yuga. But now we're out of that. And, but it's like Kali Yuga was a big, crazy piss up party, where we all got trashed. I always say, imagine you're the teenagers and your mum and dad, because we used to do this, we wait for mum and dad to go away on a little break or something, and we get all our mates round, like, right, we're all round to my house tonight, and bring your beers and whatever. And we all have a big, do loads of drugs and booze and whatever and get shit faced. And then, during that big party, we like mess up the calendar and we create all these time zones and we do all this crazy shit, and we wake up the next day like, do you remember what we did last night? It's like, I don't know, but look at the calendar, man. It's really fucked up.
Yeah.
It's like, what did we do to it? It's all out of sync with nature and everything, it's like, so I think we're just kind of waking up from the Kali Yuga still but we're in the hangover period. So we've still got wars and things going on because that is entities for me who want to perpetuate Kali Yuga
Mm.
energy and consciousness, low level, low vibe, you know, gloom and doom and fear and all of that. They're trying to perpetuate that. And they're
Mm.
struggling more and more and more to do that now because so many of us are waking up from the hangover and saying, hey, we're not in that, we're not there. Last night's over, dude. Let's get on with today, and like, look, the sun's up and it's all good, so let's walk into the future in a positive way.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. So they're in resistance to us, just in the same way we're in resistance to them. Gosh. So, because I mean, a lot of people are fixated on, when's this all going to be over? This endedness. When are we going to move into the golden age and all of that? I mean, what do you think about our lifespan? So, do you feel like because you've got quite a good sense of that timing and the slowness of time and
Hmm.
you know if we're going to do a proper job we don't want to rush this kind of thing like how do you feel that this will play out in our timeline while we're here what
Okay.
is it that will we see improvement or does that just depend on us and kind of how we go about it.
Good question. I would say both. So, um, this is a cycle that repeats every 24,000 years. So, but in one human lifetime, if you think of that circle, 360 degrees, in one lifetime of say 71 or 2 years on average, that circle will only click 1 degree, right? So it's a very, very small glimpse, like in time. So we're zooming in and out of a fractal, right? So, we can zoom in on our own life and it's our whole life.
Mhm.
But in the cosmic cycle of the precession, the equinoxes, it's 1 degree, it's like one day for that cycle.
Yeah.
So the re the how that cycle keeps ascending is by us all individually, in my view, in my experience from having studied and lived with this for about 14 years now, is we make it happen, but it's happening, but we're part of how it's happening, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
So it's not like a fait accompli. We always have free will. And it's basically us all being true to our individual soul purpose, life mission, and focusing on that. And if we just do that bit and ignore all the noise going on outside of that, that's all we have to do. And
Mm.
then we all do our tiny little bit. And as Tesco say, every little helps, right? So even multinational conglomerate bullshit corporations have some little phrases which are good sometimes, you know.
Yeah,
So, every little helps. You just do you, Jen, and I'll just do me, and
yeah,
we'll share that, and it'll all be good, So that's all we got
yeah,
to do. And
yeah.
try and ignore all the rest of the stuff. No, I don't say resist it, because it's not like a fight. All it is a letting go. So that's going on. It's like the noisy neighbors out the back having a big argument, right? And they're having a party, and they're all drunk. But you're in your lounge in your nice little safe space, and you got your nice plants around you, and the sun might be coming in the window, and you don't have to listen to them.
Mm,
Just
yeah,
let them get on with it, and you carry on and focusing on you.
yeah. I like that because everybody can do that, although we can aim towards that and practice.
Yeah.
So I'm quite interested in parenting and having this awakening experience because, like we said at the beginning, this experience is very personal and it's about us becoming knowledgeable about ourselves. So when we have children, how does that work? Because I'm a single mum now, and I know a lot of women that are single and are awakening and have children, and it's really difficult to navigate. So, and I know that you're a father as well. So, how has this awakening experience been for you as a dad?
Well, that's a great question, and I'm a granddad now as well. So my my netta, as they say here in Portugal, my granddaughter, she calls me Gampy, which is
Oh,
very cute
yeah.
because she can say ah now, but she when she started calling me it, she couldn't say the Grampy, so she just said Gampy, which I love. So
Mm,
I said, just keep calling me Gampy because I like it.
mm,
So yeah, but being a parent, you're right. And I was a parent a week after my 21st birthday. I was a dad, so I started young. And looking back now, I was in no way ready to be a dad, really. But I thought I was then. I just kind of took it all in my stride. But yeah, I mean, I'd make a much better dad now than I would then, of course, because I've had life experience.
mm,
So I think it's like you said about we gain knowledge. Yeah, we gain knowledge about awakening and intellectually how we might do it and stuff. But then we have to practice and experience it, right? And then we get the life wisdom, right? From, wisdom equals knowledge plus experience, if you want an equation for it for me.
yeah,
So, and if we're then doing that during the process of learning to be a parent, which no one ever trains you for, right? You never go on courses or studies or school about how to be a parent. It's just like, well, let you get on with that. But you're only looking after the future generation, the next of the planet. It's okay, no big deal.
yeah, yeah,
So for me as a young dad, it was, I guess if you really wanted to put a time on when I really realized that I was in the matrix and I wanted to get out of it, I was probably mid 90s, 94, 95 kind of time. And partly because I read the Celestine prophecy. And then I got this thing, oh my God, I'm in this. And the Matrix movie came out about 4 years later. And I went to see it with my eldest son, Chris, and we were both absolutely blown away by it. And I just looked at him and yeah, I thought, yeah, that's what it's like. You've woken up in this big sludge of thing with all these things in your arm, and you're like in the power plant. It's like, I got to get out of here.
yeah,
So, but I was aware that I had a job and I had a house and a mortgage and the cars and a wife and a family and all the bills to pay and all of that stuff. So I couldn't just like say, right, sorry, I'm in the matrix. I want to get out of the matrix. Like, sod you lot, I'm off now. It's like I'm going on a boat and going sailing. Bye. So, you can't just abandon all the people, and you don't want to abandon the people you love. So, you try and bring them with you. And I remember talking to my wife at the time about what I was going through and some of the books I'd read, some David Icke, which really showed me what the Matrix was. And I saw that in my own life. I could really identify with that. And I tried talking to her, but she found it quite scary. Like she didn't want to think that the world was really like that,
Mm.
And I was kind of trying to say, well, it's not the world, it's the fake world that's been made up to make us think we're in that. But that's not the real world, We're actually in the, I would say we're in the Natrix, not the Matrix.
Mm.
And all we have to do is step out of the Matrix and leave that over there and just keep walking into the Matrix, into the woods and the trees and by the river and all of that stuff, and climb the mountains and
Yeah.
but back then I didn't have that language. But I remember we had a lot of problems in our relationship because she thought I kind of lost the plot and I was gone crazy or something, and she didn't like some of the things I was talking about. And I understand, now because she found it scary. Yeah, it's like, is this the guy I married? And he was always in there, but he was a bit scared to come out before that, But then he was let free, and but then I had to try and think about the kids as well. And I actually took my younger son, Tom, to a David Icke talk in London in Brixton Academy, and it was like 12 hours long or something.
Yeah.
And he was great, and it was packed when we sat through the whole thing. It was great, really great. And I think he was like 12 at the time or something, 13 maybe. So he's really cool, Um, and I guess as I started to detach and get more and more out of the system, yeah, my boys saw all of that. They were part of that journey. They sometimes thought I was a bit nuts and maybe, I'd gone too far or something. I'm like, what's all this free man stuff, Dad? Um, but again, that was a big step on awakening to realizing how much of a slave we all are, until we start breaking free. So yeah, I think you just got to be honest and keep talking to your kids. And it depends what age they are for me. So if your kids are three, 2, 3, 4, you can start having a conversation with them about I mean, I talked to Alma about this. She's only 3, but she talks like a 5-year-old.
Mm.
And she puts sentences together. She asks really good questions. She's really intelligent. And she's funny, she makes jokes about things really cleverly. Of course, I'm very proud of her, uh, like a good Gampy would be. So I think kids of that age, they're much closer to the truth of where we come from, and where we're heading back to, hopefully, in the cycle, um, like to the source, to go. I call it the journey home,
Mm.
Um, So, but if you made the mistake of registering your kids into the matrix and school and all of that indoctrination stuff, and they're right in the middle of that, maybe 9, 10, 11, going through all that conditioning, um, and probably really not wanting to. I remember like thinking, why am I in this place all day, every day? In this like prison, we're not allowed to go out anywhere. And like,
Mm.
why aren't I at home with my family? Why do we have to learn all this rubbish, we're never going to use? And I'm sure a lot of us thought that, but we almost just accept it because that's what we're told we have to do. Um, so I think, yeah, you just got to talk to your kids. And when I was in another relationship and with my partner, and talking to my last Meg from that relationship, she was at the age where she was going from junior school to high school. So we're looking at maybe homeschooling her, and we met up with some like-minded parents in Suffolk at the time and went to visit some places where they built a kind of straw bale house classroom that you could go and share. And one of the parents was a maths teacher, and he would get the kids in and give them a math lesson, and and they'd spend a lot of time outside climbing trees and learning about flowers and plants, and it was cool. But of course, all her friends were going to the high school near where we lived, and she didn't want to be left out, and I could understand that. So she did end up going to the high school, but at least we looked at it, and I think if you start that thing as a premise when you have kids, you could not even get into the whole matrix system. Um, now people are aware of how it works. they don't register. People I know don't register their children, you know. They don't get the birth certificate because you don't have to do any of this stuff. You
No.
just think you do, you know? So
Mm,
yeah, I think being a parent, you just have to try and bring everyone in the family along with you, you know?
mm, mm. Yeah, so that's interesting. So if you had a baby and then you didn't register the baby, nobody would contact you and say, "Why haven't you registered your child?"
Well, they may do,
They
but
might do. Yeah.
they may do, but if you have you ever read the Births, Deaths and Marriages Act of 1953?
No, funnily enough.
Well, I have. And if you read that, then nowhere in there does it say you have to do it.
Right.
What
Yeah.
it says is, it says the birth shall be registered after this blah blah and so many days. And you know, this is so I put this on. If anyone wants to check this out, you can go to projectfreeman.com and go to part one, Free the Body, and then have a look at there's a glossary there, an index, and so there's a whole section on registration of birth. And I show excerpts from the Act, the statute that says about birth registration. And it's basically three strikes and you're free rather than
Mm,
three strikes and you're out.
mm,
You have three opportunities to register the birth. And it says in there, you can check it out on the website. It says, if after this the birth has not been registered, the birth shall not be registered.
mm,
And it talks about a potential penalty, which is like I think when I looked at it, it was ridiculous. It was like the fine that you might get was it was I think it was just a couple of quid or something. It was really low. It was really silly, like how low it was. You know, it's like,
mm,
are they going to bother even writing the paperwork for that? You know, it's like to get that. So you can have a look at that. But basically, you realize you don't have to do it.
mm,
And and of course, people like traveling people, gypsies and stuff, they know this, and they don't register any of their children. A lot of them all go and sign for benefits just with an X, and they'll go to several different places and get benefits because they understand that the crown has stolen all the land from the people, therefore it has to provide for all the people on that land because it's
mm.
taken away their inalienable natural right of birth to have land freely. So they have to, so they go and collect their money, you know, and they got it sussed, you know, and they travel around in their vans and stuff,
Yeah.
and it's all good, you know, because we don't have to do any of the matrix stuff when we study it.
No. I mean, I'm kind of like picking all of this stuff up through osmosis just from other people, like over the years, but I've not really done much like actioning it myself because I feel like I'm going to get round to it, and I will do. I don't know. I'm kind of like on the edge of it, like a lot of people, kind of educating myself. But yeah, I mean, my daughter goes to school. She's 16 now. She's just gonna do her GCSEs this year, and I tried to get her out and to homeschool her, but I was kind of too late in my awakening process because she'd already kind of like morphed into friendships, and um so I kind of have taken it like I just need to let her have her path because she does resist me and my ways, and her dad is we're separated, but her dad is very polar opposite to me in terms of beliefs, so she's kind of in the middle. But yeah, I'm glad that she's decided to, after her exams, leave school and go to college. So yeah, it's been really difficult, but it's something I really noticed with other people, other parents. It's like it's just an extra dimension to quite a difficult situation anyway, when you're trying to navigate yourself and it's
Yeah.
difficult. Um,
Well, I can empathize, Jen. You know, I was a single dad for a while. Even though the boys were older, when we split up, me and my partner, um, you know, the boys stayed with me and um we managed the thing between us, you know. Um, but yeah, they were well down the line by then, you know. It's like you say with your daughter, around that sort of age. And it's two things came to mind when you were talking there. The first one was again the Celestine prophecy. where it talks about the child having to resolve in its lifetime something where the parents are polar opposite on, right? To resolve that conflict and tension,
Mm,
like you would with an astrology reading, right? With your birth
mm,
chart, looking at
mm.
an opposition in your chart.
Yeah.
And astrology is a great tool to help you know thyself, right? Which is why I love it so much. So you've got that, where the child is, maybe your daughter is looking, well, mum sees it like this and dad sees it like that, and they're so different, like how do I resolve that?
Mm,
And you do it by taking the best bits of both and synthesizing it into your own little thing you put in your tool bag to carry along through your life with yourself.
yeah.
Um, yeah, and yeah, we're all kind of learning about this stuff as we go, and it comes to us at the right time, I think. Um, And what I tried to do with Project Freeman, because basically you're talking about the whole system. Like, how does the whole system work, Litmus? It's like,
Mhm.
well, I built a website to try and show you. And the reason I did that was so that not everyone would have to do what I did and read all the acts of Parliament and like 250 pages of legalese and stuff, to figure it all out.
Yeah.
And I summarize that on my website so you can go and have a look at that and see how the matrix works and what you can do about freeing yourself from it, if you
Mm,
so
yeah.
choose. So um I think that was the second point, but I might have wandered off track a bit
No,
there. So
that's right. I really appreciate that because it seems like a lot of people, similar to me, just feel kind of quite exhausted by the magnitude of everything, the mess, like the how we're stuck and kind of chained. So the fact that you've already gone in and waded through all the legalese is that's quite reassuring. Um,
good,
so
thank you.
so I guess like, going on your website would be quite refreshing in terms of being able to just get the bare bones of it and practical, this is the way forward. Yeah, because I think that stops a lot of people. Like it's reassuring. There's lots of people out there doing the natural law and the common law and everything and educating. But it does seem overwhelming when everybody's already overwhelmed. So I just appreciate you and all the other people that are trying to simplify quite a difficult process.
Thank you.
Um,
Well, just to finish that point, the matrix is designed to overwhelm you, right? It's to make you literally feel like you're plugged into something in a big swamp of fluid, and you can't breathe, and it's like
yeah,
I can't get out, and you're
yeah,
trapped and all that stuff.
yeah,
But it's not like that in reality at all. And
mm,
it's like you like tarot as well, right?
yeah, yeah,
So the lovers, and they with the devil, and they got these chains around them, but they're very loose,
mm,
and they can actually take the chains off easily if they want to.
right, yeah,
But it's only their entrapment in desire and lower vibe sort of energy of the devil, and all that symbolism that
yeah,
stops them doing that. So they're kind of stopping themselves from being
yeah,
free.
yeah,
And of course, the Matrix plays on that and it feeds you all your low energy vibe stuff and entertainment and sex and violence and, all these things and entertainment and football and beer and, or whatever it is. So you kind of think, oh yeah, that's all too hard, all that stuff. I'm just going to watch the footy and have a beer and whatever, and
mm,
and someone else will do that. But then that's the trade-off, and then you have to keep going to work and stuff. So it is totally possible without
mm,
too much effort to understand it well enough to get out of it. And when this whole free man thing started. I remember just thinking, oh, this sounds like an urban myth, or like it could be bullshit, and I was skeptical. So I just treated it like I would when I was in the corporate world. One of my roles was a project manager, so I just treated it like a project and did research and analyze and had a strategy and then implemented it. It was like classic project management, and it worked. So it helped me get free. So and
yeah,
anyone else can do that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It seems to me, I like that. I like the fact that you've said it isn't actually as hard as it looks because there is that looseness. It isn't kind of like a, I mean, a lot of it seems to be that it's because we just participate because we think we have to. But as soon as you realize you don't have to participate, like, when they send you a letter saying you've got to go to court because of your non-payment of whatever it is, you don't have to go.
No, you don't.
Yeah,
A summons, if you look it up, it's an invitation.
yeah,
Do
yeah,
you go to every party you're invited to?
yeah.
No.
Exactly it, and that just like sets people off, like people's adrenaline. But
Yeah,
I
well,
love
what's the
I
word
love knowing
caught?
that.
What's the word caught?
Yeah,
You've been caught, right?
thought, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So subliminally, when they say, this is the English spelling of the English language and the word magic that we're talking about with Jackie, on holistic radio, because and we've done that in the past on Conscious People's Network and stuff as well, because a lot of us just realize that these sounds we're making and these vibrations that we're putting out of our hole in our face, that's all vibes that goes out into the field, and
Yeah,
it comes reflected back to us. So,
yeah,
when they say crime's all right, just don't get caught, right?
yeah,
So of course, if they're saying you've got to go to court, they're saying you've been caught, you know.
yeah,
Subliminally, you think, oh no, I've been caught. I'm going to be in trouble.
yeah.
I'm going to be in jail or something. But again, it's all fear. The two main products that the Matrix is marketing to us, because that's all it is. It's a big marketing operation, right?
Mm.
As Bill Hicks used to say, is anyone here in marketing? Yeah, seriously, kill yourself, dude. Kill yourself. Do us all a favor. There's no punchline. No, seriously, just kill yourself. And I used to be in marketing, so I remember loving that. But it's all marketing, and the main two products that the Matrix is marketing is fear and debt. And that's what debt is.
Ah,
Debt is like fear, debt is an artificial construct which doesn't exist in reality.
mm,
So it's just realizing that all these things are fake,
mm,
like fake news. All the Matrix stuff is all fake. And the Matrix is what's real, you
mm,
know?
mm.
And we just got to try and unplug from the Matrix and go the Matrix way. And I've got a
Mm.
song about that coming out soon.
Yay. Ah, right. So, um, quite a lot of people think that awakening involves us having a purpose. Not everybody looks at it that way. So if we were here to do something or to be something, what is that for you? What do you feel like you're here to do or to be?
Great question. I think you read it out from my website at the start of the show, right? One is a breaker of Gregorian chains. Um, I guess, I've always, since I was young, I've always felt a bit different, if you like, to everyone else around me. The black sheep of the family, the independent rebel, the one who goes their own way and says, "Why are you doing all this stuff?" So one is to just be true to that, to be the rebel, to be the anarchist in the true sense of the word, which is why I have A in Litmus, A free man. The A stands for anarchy, right?
Mm,
No rulers, we're all equal. That's what anarchy means. It doesn't mean riots and breakdown of structures and mayhem, and war and
mm,
stuff. It just means we're all equal. So one is to be a champion of equality through anarchy in the true sense of the word. And to, know myself and be true to myself in this individuation of the universe, experiencing itself subjectively, right? And later in life, I came across astrology and astronomology, as I call it, putting it back together with astronomy. And if we look in our natal chart of astrology, it tells us what our life mission and soul purpose is in there. All you
yeah.
got to do is look at your nodes of the moon, right? To
Mm,
see your soul purpose in this incarnation. Look at your north node where you're going and your south node where you come from. And you can look at what's your MC, what's your career, your legacy, your life purpose in terms of work and leaving a legacy when you go in your 10th house. That'll tell you what it is.
Mm,
And it'll
mm,
tell you where you're coming from in your fourth house, your IC and your roots and stuff. So you don't even have to try and figure it out for yourself. All you got
mm.
to do is do your birth chart and it's all in there.
Yeah.
And to me, that's like the fool in the tarot card, the Z card zero, and he's got his little rucksack on his back, knapsack thing. And in there, he doesn't realize there's a copy of his birth chart, right? And he's just got to take a break on the side of the road for a few minutes and have a cuppa, and have a look. Oh, what's in here? It's like, oh, what's this? Oh, it's a birth chart. And
Yeah.
it tells you everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think then just be true to that. But
Yeah.
but intuitively, you'll know that's right anyway.
Mm, mm. Yeah, that's perfect. I'm into astrology, but through the gene keys because you
Yeah,
can
Richard Rudd stuff. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, I love that because it fits with all the work and stuff that I've done on emotion, knowing what your shadows are and where you're aiming for once you've kind of worked through all that stuff. It's
absolutely.
like having a map.
It is. Well, in the birth chart's like a map. That's the same analogy. But it doesn't matter. We all start from a different place,
Hmm.
and we all find different tools along the way that help us keep going on the
Yeah.
journey, right? For me,
Hmm.
it was astrology. For you, it's the gene keys. For
Hmm.
someone else, it's tarot. Someone else studies alchemy. You know, whatever it is. Some people do human design and other. It doesn't matter what it is as long as it works for you and it helps you know thyself better and what your journey's all about. But we're all going to meet in the same place, right?
Hmm.
We're all heading for the same destination, which is source, going back home. And
Hmm.
it's just let's have some fun along the way, and let's not get all serious about it, and let's get rid of that matrix rubbish, and hug some trees and stuff and have a party, and have a good time in the
Yeah.
sunshine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. So, what what would you say to a person who was just beginning to wake up now and kind of understand that, basically all the fakery in the world, but also in our own personal matrix? What would you say to someone that's just beginning to have that awareness to see through everything? What advice would you give? What starting point?
Number one, listen to your little voice inside. So mine's called Melvin. All right. I put, like in Greek mythology, what they did, they took the energy of the planets and they personified them into gods, right? And Jove was like this, and Venus is like this, um, or Aphrodite, as they called it. But so I did that with my intuition and my ego. So I call my intuition Melvin, me little voice inside, Melvin. And my ego's called Gregory because Gregory's got ego in it. And I treat them as little characters. It's part of
Mm,
my journey. We're traveling with me. And
mm,
I know that if Greg gets out of control, I get in trouble, you know. And if I listen to Melvin, it generally goes really well. So,
yeah.
so number one, I'd say really connect with your intuition, whatever you want to call it, but your connection back to your higher self.
Mm,
Because that's your sixth sense that gives you a lot of answers that you can't get from the five sense world, right? So
mm,
number one, connect with your intuition, listen to that. And number two, don't be scared, Don't be scared. There's nothing to be scared of. It's just a horror movie that's showing on the telly.
mm,
It's just a movie there to frighten everyone. But actually, if you connect with that intuition and listen to that and trust that, really trust it, no, no, you don't. You will find you will not be worried at all about all that other stuff going on in the movie because you realize it's just a movie.
yeah.
And there's actually nothing to be scared of. In fact, the opposite. The universe is made of love.
Mm, mm,
The scientists say, we know of all the mass of the universe, everything we can see, the stars, the planets, everything, the matter is only 5% of the mass of the universe, right?
mm,
And the scientists call the rest dark energy and dark matter because they don't know what to call it. They say, oh, look, the sky's dark. We'll call it dark matter and dark energy. The thing to realize there is when you look at the dark sky, what you're actually looking at is into the shadow of the earth, right?
mm, mm,
The sky isn't dark, it's full of
mm,
light.
mm,
But the earth casts a shadow from the sun into space, right? And when we look at the night sky, it's like we're looking through a dark portal of the shadow of the earth. But around that is all bright sunlight, right?
mm, mm.
That's
Yeah.
all we have to realize. We're actually surrounded by light,
Mm,
but we
mm,
feel as if we're in the dark.
mm,
So all we have to do is realize that 95% of all the mass of the universe is love energy.
mm,
It's when it's not dark matter, it's love matter. And it's
mm,
not dark energy, it's love energy.
mm,
So it's easy. Why focus on the fear of the 5% when you've got 95% of love to tap into, an infinite source of unconditional love, you know?
yeah.
So I got a song, I am love, you are love, we are love, you know, because like Osho said, you reach a state where you become love. It's not like you're in love, but you are love, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So my advice would be, yeah, listen to your intuition. Don't be scared. Realize it's just a movie and tap into the infinite source of unconditional love of the universe.
Yeah. That's such a good answer. And I think connecting to intuition in itself is quite a journey, and it just unfolds and unfolds. But yeah, that's perfect. Um, so what, most people would kind of like shy away from the idea of like knowing what the meaning of life is because it's such a big question. But, for you, what do you feel like that is? And you might not know. It might
I
still
do
be
know, yeah.
broad. Yeah. What is that for you? What matters most?
Okay, so for a while, I I connected with a phrase that felt right to me. That was the meaning of life is to, or that you can do it either way around. The purpose of life is to find your gift or gifts. Yeah. If that's your purpose. And the meaning of life is to share them freely with the world.
Mm,
And I
mm,
like that.
mm,
But since then, I've realized that actually the answer to every question is love. So the purpose of life is love. And the
mm,
meaning of life is love.
mm, mm,
Everything is the answer to every question is love. You know,
mm,
we come here to experience separation from the source, right, in this material existence and feel the force that fills the space that's all around us. But then we realize that we're all one, you know?
mm.
And it's love that fills the emptiness in everyone.
Yeah.
So that's from a song called Lost Without Love. And that's my answer. Whatever question you ask me, the answer is love.
Mm. Brilliant answer. Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I think it's love as well, from my perspective, but there's also something around choice for me. And that's a big one, isn't it? Some people think we've got free will, some people think we haven't. Um, but yeah, there's some for everybody, there's some sort of self-mastery where you could go that way or you could go that way, so choice, I think, is a really important one.
It
Uh,
is. I agree. And I find we do have free will. I would say we definitely have free will, but that could be source playing tricks with me, you know? They might have it all mapped out and they might be just be tricking me into thinking I had something to do with it, you know. But we do have choices, you know, we come to crossroads often. And do we go left or right or straight on? But sometimes it's good, you know, just to take a break on the side of the road and
yeah,
see who passes by, you know, and just wait till you're ready to go on again.
yeah.
Um, yeah, and it's like so I think we do have free will and we can make choices, but ultimately, whatever you do, you actually realize that what you've done it because of love at the end. You look back and you realize it was a love answer
Mm,
to a question.
mm,
Um, so being selfish to your purpose and your journey, your soul mission, your life mission, whatever, that's showing self-love, right?
mm,
You're
mm.
loving yourself when you do that. And by
Yeah,
loving yourself, you're actually loving the collective. Because if you love yourself and fulfill your mission, the collective all raises with you. We all
yeah,
raise together if we focus, we share, but we individually focus on our own part of that sharing.
yeah, yeah.
We all do our little bit. And
Mm,
um and then it all keeps raising together.
mm. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Litmus. Like, I find your energy like very reassuring.
Good.
Um, like
Me
the
too.
and I'm sure that other people listening will as well, because like because you've done all of this stuff with your Project Freeman, you've gone over all this ground that a lot of us haven't yet. And you've got this kind of conviction, you've got this energy of conviction and knowing, which is quite infectious, because I've got
Good.
quite a lot of knowing, but I still kind of waver a little bit. But when I listen to you speak about what you know, I feel a bit bolstered by by your wisdom.
Well,
Um,
great. Thank you.
yeah, so I'm sure that this is going to be really helpful and useful. And I'll put some links and things for you and underneath so people can follow up and do a bit of exploration as well. Um,
Okay, yeah, it's all on my website, yeah.
okay,
So LAF dot zone.
okay, yeah, laugh.
Because
I
all,
like
all
that.
my other sites are linked there.
Okay.
So Project Freeman's there, the Universal Celestial Synchronometers there, which, part of my mission is to remind people where we come from and to get us back into sync with the Natrix, not the Matrix. The Gregorian system is the Matrix calendar. That's the system that's come down to us with the Roman Empire legal system and their money system and all of that stuff. It's all Roman Empire. And the Roman Empire is entirely Kali Yuga.
Mm,
So,
mm,
yeah, you can get out of that. So yeah, that's there. All my music's linked there as well. I got lots of songs about this stuff as well. Every time I've taken a step on the journey, I've written some songs about it. So I've got a thing called Surf to Self that tells you how to get from being a slave to being sovereign, you
mm.
know, a
Yeah.
9-step process. So, there's lots of stuff there, and there's astronomology that tells you how to read your own birth chart and stuff. And yeah, knowledge nuggets, with holistic radio, all sorts of stuff. But yeah, if you got any questions, just drop me an email
Oh,
or message me on Telegram or whatever. Yeah.
yeah. That's so perfect. Well, thank you so much for talking to me. I've really enjoyed talking to you.
Likewise, well, thank you for the invitation. It was great, and it's lovely to see you in person, sort of
Yeah.
thing. Well, at least on the screen.
Oh, yeah. I sometimes wonder if we're all of us on holistic radio, if we ever will kind of like all meet up in person. Um,
Well, do you know what? I think all our higher selves are already meta
yeah, they
back
probably
home at source, and they've just said, "Hey, go on this thing, go on this platform, and you'll all meet your soulmates." Like,
yeah,
And
yeah.
I feel like I know all the people on holistic radio anyway, even though I've never met them.
It has got a lot of really beautiful family feel. And if
Yeah,
I'm feeling a bit down, all I've got to do is just put someone's show on, and
exactly. Yeah.
you it kind of you feel grounded, don't you? And
You do, and I mean your shows, they've always been good, but particularly lately, they've been off the scale. I mean, fantastic. Like if anyone's watching this and they haven't listened to Feeling is Healing, I would highly recommend that because I mean the last one where you had me and my friend here on talking about some of our symptoms
yeah.
was incredible, and you nailed it every time. So yeah,
Hmm.
you've got a great skill there, and I'm
Oh,
so pleased that you're sharing that with the world.
yeah, thank you. Well, I mean, I've been doing the show for about 2 years, I think it is now. Um, because I worked that out the other day and it kind of shocked me because I didn't
Hmm.
realize. But yeah, it's just been such a beautiful. space to get my voice flowing and to build up confidence and just get that reflection from other people. And it's helped me get a sense of direction, actually. And, you know, what you said before about knowing yourself and what you're here to do and figuring it all out. Um,
Hmm.
it's just like a beautiful, it's like a win-win. Because I just think that the world is full of win-wins, but most people don't go in the direction of win-win because they're programmed for I win, you lose.
Yeah,
But there's always
exactly.
win-win, you know, and holistic
Always.
radio is it's a
Yeah.
beautiful, just generous, flowing space for just, you know, magic to unfold. And it's been lovely for all of us.
It has. And you've got a lovely voice, so it works great on holistic radio. All that
Mm,
lovely Gemini energy, communication.
yeah.
It's you just want to hear you say more things. So
Mhm.
it's great. It's carry on. Let's all keep carrying on doing what we're
Yeah.
doing.
Keep doing it. Yeah. Ah, brilliant. All right. Well, thank you so much. And I won't see you on the radio, but I'll hear you on the radio.
Yeah. Yeah, you will. I'm going to keep doing my knowledge nuggets.
Yeah.
I really enjoy doing those, and yeah, maybe I'll get you on one of them. Hey, how about
Yeah.
that?
That would be good. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for inviting me, Jen. It's been a
Brilliant.
pleasure and lovely talking to you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Ciao for
Thanks
now.
everybody for listening.
Peace, love, and freedom.
Yeah, totally. Wow. That was an interesting conversation through time and space. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. If you found this information useful, then please like the video, subscribe to the channel, share with someone that you think it might help, and leave a comment below to share any knowledge, wisdom, experience that you may have that can help someone out there, maybe more than you might think. And connecting with each other at this time is definitely the antidote to the separation agenda. If any of you would like guidance or facilitation on your awakening path, to translate the spiritual reason for your symptoms, to change limiting patterns, emotions, or beliefs, or to learn to self heal, then you can contact me through my website link, which is underneath. I believe that we can learn to self heal anything ourselves. I self healed chronic pain that my doctor told me that I would have forever. I also self healed anxiety disorder, symptoms of complex PTSD. I also lost weight without even trying, and I reversed signs of aging. People all around the world are healing themselves all the time and reversing their diagnoses. So if you're interested in discovering the truth about healing, then I'm here for you. Lots of love.